So right now I live in North Bay, Ontario, but I do a lot of traveling for work. So I'm only here about a third to a half of the year. So more recently I've been to Nunavut and Cuba. So it's been pretty exciting seeing a bunch of places. So right now I am a geological engineer. That means I look at rocks, dirt, sometimes water. And I definitely think my love of nature that was fostered at camp kind of led me to that role where I get to be outside for most of my days. So I started at Pearce Williams in 2011 as a CIT. I had actually grown up going to camp at a different camp, but they did not have a CIT year. And my plan was to come to Pearce Williams, do a CIT year, and then go work as a counselor at this other camp. But I absolutely fell in love with Pearce Williams and the people and the atmosphere, and that led to me sticking around for another 4 years as a counselor, head lifeguard, and as wilderness coordinator. So a word I think that describes my time at Pearce Williams is grounding. To me, at camp, I always felt safe with who I was, and it really helped me discover who I was. And nowadays, whenever I feel stressed or unsure of what direction I'm taking my life, I can think back to those memories and those feelings where I knew who I was, and use those to focus and center myself, and kind of use to move forward. So grounding, yeah. My favorite camp song is Sanctuary. Through my years at camp, I have seen camp become a sanctuary to so many campers. And then I also just think it's a really pretty song to sing. So, yeah. So this song is a little bit difficult for me because I would say I'm still at the beginning or the early middle of my story. I haven't really hit my final destination, I don't think. But the boring version of my story is I went to university for 4 years for geological engineering, worked hard to graduate, and I've been at my job as a geological engineer for just over 2 years now. But the more exciting version of my story is how the skills like communication and public speaking, leadership, a lot of self-confidence, these skills that I gained at Pearce Williams and at camp have opened so many doors for me that I couldn't even imagine. In university, I was able to really get involved in a bunch of initiatives, both at my school and nationally, that were related to diversity and accessibility in engineering, and also things related to sharing science with a wider audience and getting them excited about the weird and wild world that we live in. And while right now I'm applying science in my job, I hope to circle back to a more science or outdoor education related field. I think back to those times at camp leading salamander hunting sessions and explaining the weird adaptations where salamanders just kind of lose their tail to avoid predators, or sitting on the beach at canoe trip and having these campers excitedly run up to me with rocks and asking me all of these questions. It's thinking back to those memories that I think really helped teach me what I enjoyed doing. And I definitely think and definitely plan on steering my life towards more of that kind of thing in the future. So, yeah. So this is another one of those difficult questions because I have so many different memories from Pearce Williams that I think are pretty pivotal to who I am. To friendships made and connections with campers. Those things, kind of help build who you are. But I would have to say the memory that stands out the most to me is during my first week at Pearce Williams, during our CIT training week. On the Thursday night for Devos, all of the CITs went to the labyrinth with candles. And as we walked towards the labyrinth, the sun was going down and it was getting darker, and all of a sudden it started to light up with hundreds of fireflies. And while we were at the labyrinth, we spent time reflecting on the week and the connections we made, and our plans for the upcoming summer at camp. And this was a moment where Pearce Williams really hit me. I was like, this place has an undeniable magic, and I felt so welcomed and loved. And I knew that the rest of that summer, and turns out to be 4 more summers, I was going to share that magic with campers and hopefully help them find that same moment, that same spark of magic at Pearce Williams. So, yeah. So I think the thing that I've learned at camp that has helped me most in my life is definitely one of Joe's mantras: do what needs to be done to ensure campers have the best summer camp experience. And I think that first section of do what needs to be done has really driven me to be an active player in my life, have a goal and buckle down and figure out what needs to be done to get there. There are going to be days that are hard and days that are not glamorous, but it's getting through those hard days, doing kind of the grunt work that's going to help you get to that goal and kind of get you where you want to be in life. So yeah, the do what needs to be done has definitely been something I've taken with me. So the best advice I've ever received is actually something a little bit more recent. And this advice is actually about how to seek out advice and how to seek out lessons. And I have learned that it's so important to learn this advice from a very diverse group of people. I would be a fool to assume that I know everything, and I'd be a fool to assume that people who are exactly like me would have all of the answers. And especially in a year like this, where it's become obvious that a large group of people and large groups of people have been ignored for a long time, that we need to reach out and hear everyone's perspectives and everyone's voices. I've been doing a lot to educate myself on social issues, but also making sure that the other media related to my other general interests like science or outdoors and travel and art are also coming from those diverse groups of people and seeing how it plays into their lives. And I've learned a lot more than I have in the previous years just from doing that. So I think it's a very important piece of advice to take. So I am currently reading, I've been going through a lot of books, and I'd say most of them are pretty focused on fantasy and adventure. With COVID happening, I'm kind of restricted on the adventures that I'm going on, so I'm living vicariously through all of these characters. So I don't have one specific book to recommend, but I'd say, the whole fantasy adventure genre. But I have been listening to a podcast recently that I would love to recommend, and it's called Ologies. And the host speaks to different scientists or ologists about a variety of things, from geology, so rocks, or plumology, which is about feathers. And what makes this show really exciting and special, to me at least, is that it's not that old white expert in the field. It's people from varying backgrounds who are still very smart, huge experts in their field, but they have those different backgrounds and different ideas and different perspectives that they're bringing to the science, which is pretty awesome. And I love it. It's a great show. So definitely recommend it for those podcast lovers. So two people who I would like to nominate for this is Appetite. She was my counselor when I was a CAT for my first week during the summer and taught me so many things. So I'd love to hear her perspective and thoughts on camp and where she's at now. And then my second person would be Pooth, who was helped with CIT week when I was there, and again was a pretty influential person to my camp experience. And I would also love to hear how she's doing now and her experiences from camp. So through my time at Pearce Williams, I've seen the difference that this camp has made to the staff and campers who come here. It gives people an escape from a potentially stressful home life, friends who support them unconditionally, a place where, if they're from the city, it's a place where they can connect to nature when they otherwise wouldn't have the chance. And I think that it's so important to keep this opportunity open for people in the future by giving our support now. I've also seen all of the hard work that you guys have been doing this year kind of through the COVID to bring campers some sort of entertainment or connection from camp at home. And I think that just shows the dedication that Pearce Williams has to the campers, no matter what's happening in the world. So I've supported camp, and I really hope everyone out there can do what they can in these times. So